increasingly rare sight to see out here. Unfortunately, due to poaching as well as habitat loss, there's less than 5,000 left in the whole entire world. They are one of the smallest rhino species, weighing a mere 3,000 pounds. If y'all do happen to see any animals out here that I don't, feel free to let me know. Believe it or not, I do respond just like a real person. We are heading out of the forest and let's go towards the Safi River. Animals in the Safi River tend to hang out in and around the water, so that's where I want you all to be on the lookout. Now the large white birds off to the right-hand side are pink-backed pelicans. They get that name from a pink coloration that they get on their back during mating season. Despite being one of the heaviest flying birds, they can fly for 24 hours straight, covering a distance of up to 300 miles.
Maybe a turkey vulture up on a hill, up on a ridge?
That bird.
What is it? Yeah, ain't a pelican up on a ridge.
He's like,
Looks like a turkey vulture.
Now, do see some Nile hippopotamus just off the left-hand side. Hippos can hold their breath for up to 8 minutes, spend a majority of the day in the water to avoid getting sunburned, but at night they'll venture miles away from the water in search for food. A group of hippos is called a bloat, and they will communicate with each other by making what's called a wheeze honk. Although some honk, then wheeze, some only honk, and like me, some just wheeze. It's really up to the individual. Hippos are what we call a keystone species. There's another vocab word for you. A keystone species is a species that, without it, this whole entire ecosystem would either cease to exist altogether or be drastically different. Hippos go to the bathroom in the water, and it's full of nutrients, acts as a building block for the rest of the animals as well as the plants out here on the Safi River. As we make our way just around the river bend, I do see some Nile crocodiles. They'll grow to be 16 to 20 feet long and have a 2,000 pound per square inch jaw force. While they are extremely powerful, they can also be very gentle. Both the male and female will roll their eggs around inside their mouth to help them hatch. I know those are crocodiles because I'll see them in a while, but not later. Yeah, I'm just kidding. You can actually tell by the shape of their jaw. Crocodiles' jaw have more of a V shape, where alligators, it's much wider, more like the letter U. You can remember that by the phrase, "see you later, alligator." Heading out of the Safi River, going towards my favorite part of the reserve, the savannah. Unlike in the Safi River, water on the savannah can be pretty scarce, so the plants and animals have had to adapt. As a result, you're going to notice the foliage starting to change. Great example of that adaptation is the baobab tree. That's that large tree on the right-hand side. Baobab trees are leafless for 9 months out of the year to help conserve water, and they'll store all their water inside that large trunk. Elephants will use their tusks to pierce the side of the trunk, and water will come out. Other animals will chew on the bark for their water needs, and that's where it gets the nickname, the Tree of Life. It's all connecting now, huh? It's almost like a circle. Like a circle of life? Already seeing several different species out here, friends. Just off to the right-hand side, the small white and brown antelope that look like little s'mores are springboks. They can jump 6 feet up and 13 feet forward, which is approximately 2 hops from a truck. They have a little scent gland in their backside that when they get excited, especially during mating season, will release a pheromone that smells just like cotton candy. Definitely the best smelling animal in the reserve. Black and white striped animal coming up on the right is a Hartman's mountain zebra. They are the only zebra with a dewlap. That's a little flap of skin that hangs below their neck. Each zebra's stripe pattern is unique to that individual, just like your fingerprints. Now that we've seen this zebra, be on the lookout for wildebeest, because zebras will befriend wildebeest. They'll hang out with them all day, eat with them, drink with them, play with them, really just kind of becoming best buds. Sounds cute, right? Right, Tom. Well, things change when a predator comes along. That zebra will kick the wildebeest in the head to stun it. That way they get to get away. The wildebeest is the one that gets the short end of the stick on that friendship. Moral of the story, zebras don't make great friends. Take a look at the left-hand side, right up against that back rock ledge. On the left side of the rock ledge, little paint splotches that you see are not hyenas. They're African painted dogs. More than just an adorable face, they're Africa's most successful hunter, successful about 90% of the time. They hunt in packs, taking turns chasing down their prey until it literally collapses from exhaustion. Unfortunately, they are critically endangered. Their numbers have dropped by about 75% in the last 10 years. A lot of that has to do with population fragmentation. It's something a lot of these animals are facing, and if you'd like to learn about that, come talk to me in the tour. The reddish-brown animals off to the left are sable antelope. Both the male and female have horns that kind of curve backwards, helps to deter predators from jumping on their back. The gray animals are wildebeest. They'll migrate 500 to 1,000 miles a year in groups of over 1.5 million. Migration is so large it can be seen from the International Space Station. A lot of other animals will join them on this great migration, and they're all looking for one thing: water. The wildebeest can smell it. That's how they're so successful at finding it. Just off to the left-hand side, the large tan animals are eland. They are the largest antelope, measuring at 6 feet tall at the shoulder. They can jump 9 feet straight up into the air from a standstill. The male eland will use his horns to dig at the foliage, creating what we call a flower crown atop his head. Does that to impress the ladies. If she's not impressed, she'll rip it off and make a restart. Yeah, sounds about right. Now the really tall animals, the Maasai giraffe, they've got a pretty interesting start to life. Their mother gives birth while standing up. So the first thing that happens to that baby gets dropped about 6 feet. Might sound a little scary, but that drop is extremely important. It helps to jumpstart the baby's breathing. Baby giraffe will stand around 6 feet tall when they're first born, although they have to stand at least 5 feet 5 inches, or else they won't be able to reach their mother's udders. And that would be utterly disappointing. They are expected to be standing with the first 15 minutes after being born and walking and running with the first few hours. Giraffes have the same amount of vertebrae in their neck as humans, so you could say that we're neck and neck. Glad somebody like that. I really stuck my neck out for that one.
Yes, you did.
A group of giraffe is called a tower, and they only sleep about 30 minutes a day. That's in 5-minute increments. They definitely don't need much rest. A majority of the time, they'll even sleep while standing up. Just like the okapi we saw a little bit earlier, giraffes have a long prehensile tongue that they use to grab leaves off of trees. First half of their tongue is blue. Scientists think that the reasoning for that is to help it from getting sunburned. Tongue's about 18 inches long. It's long enough that they can lick their own eyes as well as the inside of their ears. So that face, don't judge them. Everybody's got to clean out their ears somehow. We are venturing into elephant country, so be on the lookout for those gentle giants. Probably not the angle you were looking for, but there is an African elephant on the right-hand side all the way up the path. We'll try to loop around and see if we can get a better view of some other elephants up ahead. As I said, that is an African elephant. Anybody know how I know that's an African elephant? Easiest way to tell is simply because we're in Africa. It's the only type of elephant we have. But if we weren't in Africa, you're right, you could tell by the shape of their ears. They are shaped just like the continent of Africa. Blood vessels in those ears are located extremely close to the surface of the skin. So by just waving them back and forth, they can drop their internal body temperature by about 50 degrees. It's just like having a built-in air conditioner. Just like the hippos we saw a little bit earlier, elephants are a keystone species because of their feces. The largest male that we have here in the reserve weighs in at about 12,000 pounds, and he will defecate right around 300 pounds a day. Inside every big old pile of fertilizer are all the seeds from the plants that elephant has been eating. Elephants travel vast distances, dropping these seed-filled packages off along the way. It really helps to create a much more diverse ecosystem out here. Through research, we've learned that elephants are the largest land animal. They are afraid of one of the smallest, bees. So we came up with the Elephant Bee Project, where we put up bee fences around locals' crops as well as their livestock. The elephants will see and hear these bees, and they'll turn around and run the other way. So win-win for everyone, really helps to cut down on human-elephant conflict. The elephants aren't being poached by either eating the locals' crops or destroying the fences that protect their livestock. The bees also pollinate the crops and provide honey that the locals can sell. I'll show you an example of that in just a little bit. Kicked out of the herd at around 13 years of age. They'll either remain solitary by themselves or form small bachelor groups made up of only a few males. And the females, on the other hand, just don't get rid of them. Just stay with the herd their entire life. Elephant's skin is about an inch thick, but it's extremely sensitive. They can feel something as small as a fly landing on their back. They'll throw dirt, sand, and mud over their backs to protect that sensitive skin from the sun, just like sunscreen. If you took all the muscles that you have in your whole entire body and you multiplied that by about 66 and a half, that's how many muscles an elephant has in its trunk alone. They have extremely powerful trunks. They can knock trees over them. Can also be very gentle. Pick up something as small as a single blade of grass. Coming up on the left, there is a flamboyance, or a group of greater flamingos. Greater flamingos are the lightest color pink flamingo. They get that pink coloration from the brine shrimp they eat. When they first hatch, little gray balls of fluff, and if you take a look out there, you may see some that haven't quite gotten all pink coloration yet. It takes about 2 years for that to fully develop. They did hatch right there on that island, and the shape of the island might look a little familiar to some of you. Poaching is a huge problem here in Africa. Even on reserves like this, elephants are poaching their tusks that are made of ivory. One elephant every 15 minutes is poaching those tusks. So from the time you've been in my truck, it already has been one. And rhinos are poaching their horns. Some people believe that a rhino's horns has some sort of medicinal value. I'm here to tell you they're wrong. They're actually made of the same thing as our hair and fingernails. It's called keratin. So if you think about it, rhinos are going extinct for having really large nose hairs, which is pretty ridiculous. Poachers have extremely sophisticated equipment and hunt by the cover of darkness, so it's getting harder and harder for us to stop them out here.
Well, not the rhino. The rhino is probably
Oh, maybe.
or the elephant. The elephants can get out.
Once again, we are in these animals' home. There is a rhino in front of the truck in front of us right now. So, well, looks like it might have moved. Big things happening. Big things happening. Oh yeah, look at that big girl. These are white rhinos. They are significantly larger than the black rhino. We saw a little bit earlier, weighing up to 5,000 pounds. Get that name, white rhino, from a misinterpretation of the Afrikaans word "weit," meaning wide, and that's referring to the rectangular shaped howl. Rhinos can only see about 10 feet in front of them. I like to think that's why they decided to call a group of them a crash. Once they start running, they tend to bump into anything in their way. Over to the left, let me know if you can spot any animals. Cheetahs are the fastest land animal. They can go 0 to 60 in just 3 seconds. But they can't maintain that speed for very long. Only a few hundred yards. So they rely on their camouflage to surprise their prey. At one point, there was only 7 cheetahs remaining in the whole world. Now, there's just over 7,000. But their DNA is so closely related to each other that we can skin graft from one to another with almost 100% success rate. They definitely don't have very good genetic diversity, which is not a good thing. Not only is it bad enough that they're at the cusp of extinction once, they have actually been at the verge of extinction twice now. So the fact that we're still able to see some today is nothing short of amazing. Coming up in the Kopi Rock, sometimes a good place to see some other predators. It can also be a good place to see some smaller animals that will use this rock formation as either a hiding spot, hiding in the cracks and crevices, or a lookout point, looking for danger that could be nearby. Now, unfortunately, I'm not seeing anything up in the Kopi Rocks right now, but Hakuna Matata, no worries. We'll go find some other cool animals. There are some furry-looking rocks off to the left-hand side. Anybody know what those are? In between the two tall trees.
Furry looking rocks.
These are warthogs.
Oh, there they are.
Warthogs are the largest burrowing animal. They have 4 razor-sharp tusks, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. Top 2 are used mainly for burrowing. Bottom 2 are used for defense. They'll back themselves into their burrows to stay safe. A couple more white rhinos just off to the right. Also coming up on the right, I do see an ostrich. Ostrich are the largest bird, but they're unable to fly. Instead, they'll use their wings to change direction as they're running at speeds of up to 45 miles per hour. Have extremely powerful legs, and a kick from one of them can prove to be fatal to a fully grown lion. Now, my friends, we did receive a male white rhino from a reserve in Africa. We made a deal with them that if they gave us that rhino, we would in turn send them back somewhat different genetics. Since then, we've sent back 2 white rhinos that are born right here at Animal Kingdom that now live freely on that reserve in Africa. So just by coming to the park, you are making a huge difference in these animals' lives out in the wild. What makes that story